Hello, beautiful people. It's your girl again. And today I wanted to let you guys know something that's going on. A little update. Then I'm going to do a story time. Ooh. An update on my hand is I just did physical therapy Friday. I didn't make an appointment because I knew that physical therapy is going to be going on, but what I'm saying is that on Monday, is going to the doctor, and I'm having one of my sisters across the street take me, as I said I'm gonna have guys, it's inevitable surgery, so I'm gonna keep you updated. Alright, I'm just want to do a little update, but let me do a story time. Steven Anderson will come and play video games. You want to watch a blind man play video games? Then you're going to be in for it. And I'll be doing some videos with Steven. You know, because Steven is into sports. So if you're into sports or anything like that, and you want to hear the statistics and shit, then stay tuned because me and Steven will be doing that. And yeah, so that's all the update I gotta say about that. So, the story time I'm going to be telling is about Whispering Pines, which is a crazy ASS school, which I'm going to say it. And a lot of crazy dodo shit happens there. And I'd like to let you know, there was a few teachers that me and Steven Anderson liked. Oh, excuse a little hand that's right there because, yeah, excuse that right there because I'm holding the phone. Because I don't feel like setting up because I'm waiting for the Xbox to update. Also, if you want to donate to me to help kickstart gaming or kickstart anything, everything's in the link down below. You can donate as much as you want. Or you can give to a good cause because I do help the kitties and shit. So, yep, when I need to. But let's get into the story time because this is a story time where it all happened. You know, like Whispering Pine School. Oh my God, ESE. Our sister school was Cross Creek. Oh my God, I got stories about that. Well, let me tell you this story time, and then I'll tell you another story time on top of that one. So this is a story time. We used to have our sports, our 3 sports we used to play. I think 2 sports now, because the other one they had to cancel it because there was always fights and shit. One was softball. Yay, softball. One was basketball, and I played both. Well, we used to go to like these recreational centers and play. And it was crazy, I tell you that much. So let me tell you the story time about this. You know, one time we had a baseball game, a softball game, right? So I went to the coach and I'm like, all right, let's do this. Let's, blah, blah, blah. So we went and we had fun and everything like that, right? Because we were playing in our home turf and we had fun. So, back down the line, we kept playing and playing and playing. And the coach came up to me because I helped him out a lot with the teams and shit like that because I helped him out with the uniforms and shit because I used to go over there and help him, make sure the uniforms were there, clean everything after the game and shit because he used to like that shit. So, Coach Cruz was his name. He had a wife that worked there too, behavior specialist. So, one day, he came to me and said, I'm going to have to cancel the softball game. We can't go to Sunset to do the big game. And I'm like, why? When is it? Tell me when it is. He's like, this is when it is. I said, hold on a second. So you're saying you can't, why can't we go? He's like, because we don't have a bus driver, this, and that. I told him, I said, Coach, I said, all right, my Xbox is done updating, so I'm gonna tell you this 2 story times, and then I'm out of here. So I said to him, I said, wait a second, you have no bus driver. I said, let me handle that situation because we needed a bus driver to take us. So I'm there because I usually help with the buses because, like it was helping with the buses until my bus got there. And, like checking in the students and stuff, helping with the elementary kids because, Miss Cruz used to get me out of the classroom to help out with that because, I was the one that wanted to help. So I'm helping do that and I'm checking them out and I see my bus driver, Mr. Blanchard. He was my bus driver when I was first starting out in that school and been my bus driver for years. So I told him, I said, hey, we're going to have to cancel our softball stuff because we don't have a driver. And he looked at me and he's like, are you serious? I said, I'm dead serious. We don't have a driver. And he's like, what day is it? I told him and he said, I'm able to do it. I don't care. And I said, why? I thought you had to pick up your kids from the elementary school. And, he had an elementary school run before our school. And I asked him, I said, what about your other kids you have to pick up and shit? He told me, he's like, nah, I don't have to pick them up at all. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, you don't have to pick them up? He's like, well, because he was like loaded with like 2 elementary schools, 2 this and that, 3 this and that. And he says, I don't have those kids. And he's like, really? I said, no. They hired a new driver, this, and that. And I said, okay. I said, well, can you talk to your transit area and tell them that you're willing to do it? And he said, hold on a second. So I got the Coach Cruz to come out and talk to him and said, oh, you will? He's like, yeah. And so that day we went. Oh my God, we got there. We had a blast playing the other schools like Lanier James, Cross Creek, and them. And we're sitting there playing, and we had a cookout. And I'm sitting there, eating because we were having like a little party too. And this kid comes out, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, wait a minute. And Andrew Grant, the Afro black kid, come there. I said, is that Antonio? And he's like, wait, what? I said, look. I pointed to him, and he's like, hell yeah, it is. And we're all watching while the other schools don't even see what the fuck is going on. Sorry for saying the F word, but this is the truth. And automatically, he gets up, and he sees us, and he's like, gets up. Oh my God. And he strips butt naked, and I went and tapped on one of their, they call them safety team in Sunset. I went like this. Boom, boom, boom. And the guy's like, yes. I said, you have a PIP team or something like that? He said, what's that? I said, personal intervention personnel. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you might want to call somebody because one of your students are stripping naked. And he's like, what? What? And he looks and sees him butt naked. Okay, I'm just going to tell this one story time and then I'm done. And runs out, and he runs like a madman. And they grab him, and they were dragging him in. And he's cursing, da 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 da, and I'm like, okay. And that was it. And then we went back home, and that was it. Then I'm gonna get to this. Then the basketball comes around, and we're playing and playing and playing. We used to go away to Fort Lauderdale to go to the rec center sometimes. Sometimes we didn't. So we had a tournament, and we were playing in the tournament. And I was running back and forth playing, and coach like took me out a couple of times, and I'm there playing back and forth, and all of a sudden, we leave, and we're leaving from the tournament, and we stop at McDonald's, and I get out and get some food, and then I come back, with the food, and had a lot of food. I had like 2 meals. And I'm sitting there, and this girl that was there, her name was Caitlin. She did not have no food at all. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? She's like, oh, I didn't bring no money and shit. And I said, well, I figured that. Here you go. So I gave her one of the meals, and she ate. And I kid you not, this damn kid who came on this fucking, I'm sorry for saying the F word, on this trip, oh my God, he had seizures and everything. He was shaking, like drooling, and he told the coach, I'm having a seizure. And I'm like, really? I'm like, you really bring somebody who's having seizures on to play games and shit? So we had to call the paramedics. We had to wait there for the medics. Oh my God. All worthwhile that he's faking a damn seizure to get fucking attention. I'm like, really? So we get back to the school late. Very, very late. And I'm walking around. Andrew's like, really? That kid really had to fake a fucking seizure? And I said, how do you know he was faking? He's like, because I know. I have friends who have seizures and shit. I'm like, oh God. And we came late to school. So, that was that. And then, we had time in the school. We were walking around. And I'm walking in the school because, like the next day, I'm sitting there. Mr. Taylor picks me up to walk around like they usually do. And I'm talking to Mr. Taylor, and he's like, hold on a second, what's going on? I said, I don't know, you want me to walk around? I was achieving 1 at this time. Wait, I was achieving 2 heading to mastering or some shit like that. I forgot. We had a point sheet system, very stupid. So, I'm sitting there walking, because Mr. Taylor lets me help out. So, I'm walking around, and I hear something going on. And I'm like, what's that noise in the back? He gave me a radio to use, and they got permission from the principal to let me use it. And I'm walking around to the back because I always walk around in the back. That's where I caught Mr. Taylor and Misty Ryder kissing in the back of the school. And I told Steven Anderson, and he's like, really, they're kissing? I said, yep. And Steven's like, well, that's dumb of them to kiss. So I'm walking, and I see something going on. Like, wait a minute, what is this? So I walk around. Mr. Taylor gave me a set of keys. I don't know why. And I'm walking around. I said, wait a second. I said, Mr. Taylor. I called him on the radio. I said, Mr. Taylor, are you anywhere near the back of the school? He's like, what are you talking about? I said, there's a big black man, and this is how I said it, running in school property. And he's like, what? I said, no, I'm dead serious. And then all of a sudden, what was her name? Blonde-haired Miss Anderson gets out. Because she's nearby. She's like, I'm nearby, let me check. She gets over there, and she's like, oh, shit. That's not one of our kids. She gets on the radio and tells Mr. Taylor. And she said, Mr. Taylor, we're going to have to shut down the school, go on lockdown, and all this shit. And Mr. Taylor's like, what's going on? And at this time, Miss Cruz was like, walked right up and sees it. And she's like, yep. She gets on the radio and tells the principal or whoever, saying, please call lockdown right now, please, because we got some bad guy coming over here, too. And I said, isn't that school resource officer on campus, or that cop on campus there in that portable? And she's like, what are you saying? I said, hold on a second. She wanted me to get into a classroom and stay in there because she didn't want me out. But my stupid ass didn't listen to her and went running the other way towards the portable where the cop was knocking on his damn door. No answer. Me running towards Miramar for some fucking reason. Sorry for saying the F word, but this is what happened. And I see the officer there, the school resource officer, because he takes care of both of our schools. I walk right up to his car. He's in his car. And I said, hey. He's like, aren't you out of area? I said, no. And I show him the radio. And I said, here, take the radio. I gave him the radio. And I said, call. And I called on the radio. And I said, Miss Anderson or Miss So-and-so, tell me, is that guy still on school campus? Because I got the school resource officer right here. And Miss Cruz got like really a little bit annoyed with me, but she understood why I did it. And I didn't even get in trouble for it. And the officer tells me, get in my vehicle and we're going to drive back to the school. And you're going to tell me what this guy is. I'm going to drive it back to school. I said, okay, fine. So he drives to the back of the school and I'm pointing and the guy's walking to get into school or some shit like that. And he's like, did you put a school in lock? I said, yes, it is. And I said, hold on a second. Let me call, Miramar and put them on lockdown too. So we're both on lockdown for who knows how long. And I'm sitting there in his car pointing at the guy. And I said, that guy came on school campus. And I know something's wrong with him. He gets out of his car and calls for like another cop will come or some shit. And Mr. Taylor's like looking at him and said, she really went and ran the other way and we told her to go somewhere else. And she's like, that's smart. Like, I could have done that. So he walks over there to the guy and they're talking or some shit. Mr. Taylor comes up to the car where I'm sitting in. And I opened the door and he's like, you really did that? I said, yeah. I said, what did you want me to do? You told me to go inside the damn school and I went the other way. And the officer, the school resource officer, we call him Pigmore. Call him Officer Pig. He comes walking up with a guy in handcuffs and he pulls out a knife or some shit. He's like, this guy could have really done some stupid shit because he had a knife and this on him. And I'm like, I knew something was up with that bitch. And that was it. So they got the schools off lockdown. The guy got taken away or some shit. And I'm just sitting there, on the bench with Mr. Taylor. And he's talking to me. And he's like, that's the smartest thing you ever did. And he's like, you know what? I got something for you. And I said, okay, fine. So the next day, Mr. Taylor got me and told me, saying I can take 2 other kids with me the next day. And I chose Andrew and Steven Anderson. And we were in the room all together. And we stayed there all day with Mr. Taylor. All day playing video games. And Mr. Taylor actually ordered us, like, takeout and all that. And we were having a blast. I mean, it was fun. Mr. Taylor was a nice guy. He was like a big black guy, bald. He had knee problems and shit. And he was a good guy. Well, guys, that's it. I'm not going to edit this in any way because my hand hurts. If you want more story times or you want to see Steven play video games, leave it in the comment section down below. And I'll see you next time.